Welcome to this deep dive. We've got quite a fascinating report that's been doing the rounds in the football world. We're going to dig into it today.
Absolutely. We're focusing on this potential move, the one everyone's talking about, manager Ange Postecoglou possibly heading to the Saudi club, Al Ahli.
Yeah, and this isn't just, idle chat. The report gives us some solid ground to explore. So our mission really is to unpack what might be going on, understand why it matters, and what the sources are actually telling us about this whole potential transfer saga.
It really does set quite a scene, doesn't it? You've got this high-profile manager, a big club with serious investment backing it.
Right.
And it all slots into this larger trend we're seeing in global football.
Okay, so let's start unpacking it. The report kicks off with Ange Postecoglou himself. Paints a picture of him as, well, an Australian manager known for a very distinct attacking style.
Yeah, that attacking philosophy.
And that sort of no-nonsense leadership approach he has.
And his career, as the report lays it out, has some pretty key moments. He was with Australia for, what, about 10 years?
Something like that, yeah. 2007 to 2017.
Right, leading the Socceroos, got them that Asian Cup win, World Cup qualification too. Big achievements.
Then his time at Celtic, that was 2021 to 23, won domestic titles, and the report really stresses how he brought back that attacking flair.
Restored their identity, you could say.
Exactly. And then, of course, the recent job at Tottenham, started in 2023. Kicked off really strongly, didn't he? Lots of praise for the bold tactics.
It did. But the report does mention that second season, well, it had a bit of a rough patch.
Inconsistent results.
Yeah, that, plus injuries, some off-field noise maybe. It seemed to lead to a slump sort of mid-season.
Still, even with how things ended at Spurs, his reputation, going by this source material, seems pretty solid.
Yeah.
Especially with fans. They like the direct talk, the commitment to exciting football.
That high-tempo game, yeah. Fans appreciate that.
So let's switch over to the other side of this potential move. Al Ahli.
Right. Based in Jeddah, one of Saudi Arabia's oldest, most prestigious clubs. Real history there.
And the money aspect is key here, isn't it? They're backed by the PIF, the Public Investment Fund.
Which, as you know, has been pumping huge amounts of money into Saudi football recently, the last couple of years especially.
And it's not just random spending, is it?
Yeah.
It ties into that bigger picture,
Yeah.
the Saudi Vision 2030 plan.
Exactly. The report frames it as part of diversifying the economy, boosting Saudi Arabia's global profile. Sports are a major vehicle for that.
And Ali, well, they've already got some star power. The report mentions players like Riyad Mahrez.
Roberto Firmino, Edouard Mendy too. Big names.
So they're not starting from scratch.
Not at all. And it seems their thinking around a manager is quite specific now. They want someone with European experience, obviously, but crucially, someone who can actually reshape the team's tactics, build an identity. It's not just about buying stars anymore, it's about how they play.
Which brings us right to the core question. Why Postecoglou? Why now for Al Ahli?
Well, the report suggests Al Ahli sees a few key things in him. His track record, for one. He's rebuilt clubs before.
That's a big plus if you're Al Ahli looking to make a leap.
Definitely. And his style of play, that attacking football, the report reckons that's exactly what Saudi fans tend to enjoy watching. It resonates there.
Interesting. What else?
There's also his knack for, improving the dressing room atmosphere, building a strong team culture. That's pretty vital when you're blending big international signings with local players.
Yeah, getting everyone pulling in the same direction.
Right. And his approach is pragmatic, but still bold. That's seen as something that could really help modernize how Al Ahli plays. Plus, let's be honest, getting a well-known figure from European football like him definitely boosts their global visibility. It attracts attention.
Okay, so that's Al Ahli's angle. What about Postecoglou? What's potentially in it for him, according to the report?
Well, the obvious one is the compensation. Significant figures are being mentioned, potentially over 10 million euros a year.
Wow. 10 million plus. That's considerable.
It is. But it's not just the money, apparently. The report also touches on control. Al Ahli might be offering him quite a bit of autonomy over football matters, transfers, things like that.
Oh, that's often a big draw for managers, isn't it? Having that level of control.
Huge. And then there's the idea of a fresh start, a different kind of challenge, maybe away from the, let's say, relentless pressure cooker of the Premier League.
A change of scene, a different kind of project. Makes sense.
So it's crucial, as you said earlier, not to see this just as a one-off. It's part of this bigger movement the report calls Saudi Arabia's football revolution.
Yeah, that phrase really sticks out.
We've all seen the big player signings, Ronaldo, Benzema, Neymar Jr., grabbing headlines globally.
I'm hard to miss those.
But the point the report makes strongly is that it's not just players now. They're actively recruiting high-profile coaches, too. It mentions names like Gallardo, Steven Gerrard, Jorge Jesus as part of this wave.
So shift in focus.
It seems like it. The source suggests Saudi clubs are becoming more strategic, not just throwing cash around. The aim is to build a domestic league that can actually compete.
Compete globally.
Yeah, compete globally, both in terms of how they play and, attracting viewers worldwide. The report uses that phrase, not just spending, but building. That sums up the perceived shift.
Not just spending, but building. Okay. So bringing it back slightly, what does this potential exit mean for Tottenham? What did the report say about that?
Well, for Spurs, it's obviously a challenge, creates uncertainty. Postecoglou came in to start a rebuild.
And now that might be disrupted again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That whole process potentially has to restart, or at least significantly adjust.
And the timing isn't great either, is it? Looking for another manager right before preseason? That throws planning off.
Massively disruptive. And there's also the risk, the report notes, of losing that tactical identity they were starting to form under him. You risk getting stuck in that cycle of constant managerial change.
Yeah, that churn can be really damaging. Has there been any official word from Spurs?
Not officially, according to the report. But it does mention sources suggesting they're already looking at options. Contingency plans.
Like what?
Both internally, maybe assistants stepping up, and looking externally at other European managers, covering their bases, basically.
Right. Makes sense they'd be doing that. Now, the report brings in some expert opinions, too, which is interesting. Jamie Carragher's view is mentioned.
Yeah, Carragher's quoted. He says something like, Postecoglou is the type of manager who brings identity to clubs.
Okay.
And he adds, if Saudi clubs want more than just marquee signings, he's the perfect pivot.
The perfect pivot. That really highlights the strategic element for Ahli, doesn't it? It's about building something, not just buying a name.
Precisely. And that idea is reinforced by another expert cited, Riyad Al-Najjar, a sports economist.
What does he say?
His quote is, Saudi Arabia isn't just importing players they want to build legacy football cultures. Ange fits that mold.
Legacy football cultures. Again, that points towards a longer-term vision. These analyst takes really seem to hammer home that this potential move isn't just another big money signing.
No. It's being seen, at least by these analysts in the report, as a potentially significant strategic play by Saudi football, moving beyond just star power towards, well, building actual footballing substance.
So if we try and sort of wrap up the key takeaway from this report, what would you say it is?
I think the main point is that this potential move hints at maybe a maturing strategy in Saudi football, an evolution.
How so?
They seem to be valuing the manager's role in building identity and culture just as much, strategically speaking, as signing those big-name players. It's a broadening of the approach.
Right. And if it actually happens, if Postecoglou does go to Ahli, it could be a pretty big moment.
Definitely. For him, taking on this huge project in a league that's changing so fast.
And for the Saudi Pro League itself, showing a commitment to that building, not just spending idea we talked about.
Yeah, it adds a whole new layer to their development story. Really fascinating.
It really is.
Yeah.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to chew on, maybe.
Go on.
If a league that's been focused on rapid growth, largely through signing top talent, now seems to be targeting a manager specifically known for building identity, what does that really signal for the long term? Can coaches like Postecoglou, focusing on culture and strategy, genuinely shift the global perception and maybe even the competitiveness of the Saudi Pro League down the line?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or maybe the multi-million-euro question in this case.
Quite possibly. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the source material today.
My pleasure.